Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. An absolute pleasure to be here. Thank you, Samir and 3AI team, and an absolute wonderful fireside chat to follow. Congratulations again to Lalit and team ANSR, someone who's been shaping the GCC environment over many years. And I think I'd like to reiterate a few things that Lalit called out to us. If you look at the operating model of GCCs, which is changing, it's testimony to what you just heard in terms of yet another trend where you have the service provider and the ecosystem coming together in a very different way, insourcing and outsourcing continuing to be two sides of the same coin that organizations will use based on what makes sense for them. Moving up the maturity curve for GCCs overall, we have seen this industry transform and evolve very, very significantly. Today, and this event is all about us riding the AI wave. A significant wave, and you will hear through the day, I just heard the first couple of sessions on the applications, the use cases, and all of the day is going to be more of that. We're going to listen to all of what people are experimenting with and working on. What I'm here to do is actually talk a little about that, but remind everyone of the guardrails you need to define as you go on this journey. So it may seem a little sobering, but just to kind of make sure you have that at the backdrop as you really look to ride this wave before us. So like we're going to talk about progressing on the AI journey, I'm going to try and keep this brief. We have, I can see time ticking by very quickly. So when we talk about AI investments, there's a lot you're going to hear. Some of what you see on the slide are just areas where we're going to see impact being made. Customer experience, ultimately impacting your core customers is one of the most significant opportunities that the AI wave provides us. Employee experience at the very core. Revenue and being able to make that impact through the customer experience to actually add to the top line. And you're going to hear of a lot of use cases. In fact, for those of you who've been studying the many papers, the maximum use cases today are in the sales and customer space, and that's going to continue to be the trend going forward. Capacity creation, doing more with less. If you look at GCC evolution, the mantra over the years has been doing more with less, and technology continues to provide us that opportunity. Reducing operational cost, again, a very, very significant opportunity. At one level, it reiterates the GCC premise to ensure cost efficiency, to make value-added impact in a very, very significant way. So these are some of the ROIs that we're going to track very closely. But what we need to keep an eye on, and let me just spend 30 seconds to remind you of yet another large technology wave we all saw 5 years ago. Anyone wants to guess what that was? Do you remember the automation and the BOT phase? 5 years ago, we stood on similar forums where there was a competition. We were all scrambling to adopt bots. It was almost to say, oh, I've done 3,000, I've done 5,000 bots. Why am I calling that out? It was a significant lever, but something that we need to play with cautiously. And hence, that's some of what we're going to reiterate as we go through how you ride the AI wave, learning from that, doing it with a lot more deliberation and thought process, closely aligned to where your global organization is. So if you look at where are we in that journey, and if you had to define kind of a maturity curve, if you start looking at where are you today, many of you still getting there, just getting started, thinking through how and where can I leverage what AI allows me to. On another hand, AI at one level not new. We've been using it in different forms. The cognitive layer has been in there for a while now. It's a new term. Of course, there's Gen AI that is new. But we are still kind of in early stages of that. There's a crazy rush to actually create POCs. And there are some phenomenal ones, by the way. But there are also a lot which are lacking vision of what's that ultimate outcome, and that's something we need to keep in mind. Core AI capabilities, we're all scrambling to build that. Much in demand skill set, but need to keep in mind what kind of skills are you building and grooming. How are you working with the ecosystem to deliver that? And hence, how are you kind of building a very comprehensive approach to how you're going to ride this opportunity? And finally, have you really cracked the AI code? Have you created something that's sustainable? And that's something to keep in mind. So there is a North Star that you're all going to work towards. The question is, how are you going to go about it? When we look at some of the surveys that we ran, and when we looked at, we did a dipstick, and this is, you may find, you'll say, what is 555 organizations on a base of 1,600? The only reason I call this out is, it was a dipstick we ran at the last NASSCOM conclave over a small booth, an anonymous survey, which by the way are the best ones, because no one is compelled to put your organization name out there. But what did this tell us? It actually said that 37% of the respondents only believed that they were in a relatively mature phase. A bunch of the others felt that they have some time to go. And there were questions being raised in terms of clarity of thought, in terms of saying, where are we? Do we have the right use cases? Are we progressing in the right direction? Do we have the right vision, the right people, the right technology? One point I'd like to make, and I say this, we work with some of the global top 100, 200 companies. When you look at an organization's overall digital maturity, it has a role to play here. At the GCC level, while of course we want to be an extended arm of the enterprise, we want to be the enterprise in years to come and do away with the term, today we are that digital nerve center that is enabling a lot. But there are dependencies. Is your global organization digitally mature, and are you really ready? Or are you building use cases, and in that previous phase, like you built bots, are you working on things that may get redundant? So why are we calling out some of this? And here are some of the questions that I want to leave you all with, things that you need to keep in mind as you dive into the day. Reflect on where you are. Clarity of the aim. Are you clear on what you're adopting, why you're adopting, and what's the outcome you're driving? And I underpin and underscore the word sustainable outcome. This is not about doing some innovation, something that comes across as very jugadu for here and now. This is sustainable, significantly incremental impact for the long term. So what is it you're going after? Please make sure there's clarity and there's a match with your onshore stakeholders driving this. Data, absolutely at the core, and what sits below this, that's the enabling layer. How mature is your data layer? If not, and if you don't have the entire integration across the value chain, what you're going to build, how again it goes back to how sustainable is that, and is it going to drive long-term impact for the organization? So where do I need to improve on my data management, on my data governance, and some of those becomes a very, very critical question for you to keep in mind. Digital adoption in the global organization. I just alluded to this point. There are organizations who are today, even in the top 100, who sit on 30, 40 instances of an ERP system. In that environment, if you are speeding away to adopt AI, how successful and how sustainable is it going to be? I'm not saying don't do it. It's a huge opportunity. You will be foolish to miss the bus. But keep in mind, how does this connect into where your global organization is and how you're actually going to make that impact, given where the state of affairs are. So it's an important point. You need to align and be real about what impact you're driving. Risks, security, and ethics. I think there will be a lot spoken about this through the day. But the guardrails, and these are very significant guardrails to keep in mind. As GCCs truly become the digital nerve center, the onus, the responsibility is increasingly going to sit here. So how do we drive that? Very, very significant to have the governance in place, to have the security layers in place, and I cannot kind of reiterate this anymore. Self-sufficiency goes a long way in terms of sustainability. Is your organization wired to deliver this? Does everyone understand the meaning of it? I want to call out today you have GCCs who run multiple functions in India. It's multifunctional. You're mirroring your global footprint. The model is changing where it's no longer rolling up to a site lead. It's becoming globally federated models where functions report globally. In that context, every function is out to actually leverage this AI opportunity. How are you connecting that together? How are you stitching that together? Are you running the risk of this moving in silos, or is it again speaking to, like I said, the global alignment that is needed? And these are some of the aspects that one needs to think about. Also, as you groom and build talent, the big opportunity, of course, is for us to set up these AI centers of excellence in a truly globally enabled manner, and that's something that I'm sure we will hear through the day. Last, not the least, is how and where can I then, with all of this in mind, begin to leverage the Gen AI technology in a meaningful, sustainable manner. Time's up. You saw 2 reminders. This was all of 8 minutes, but just to set a little bit of a tone to say, what are the dependencies? You are part of an extended enterprise, a significant part that's going to drive and steer the global organization into the future. But how do you do that meaningfully with impact that's going to be sustainable? So it is to say, watch out, learn from what you've done differently in the past. Do this not to undermine your core platforms, build on it, enable it, create the right solid foundations, and don't let the FOMO drive you into this AI wave. Let it be truly based on where you see the impact for your organization. And I'm looking forward to learning a lot through the sessions today. Have a wonderful day, everyone, and thank you.